This is Patrisse Cullors, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter organization. And this is her portfolio of multi-million-dollar real estate. The organization has been steeped in controversy over the years, coming under fire for possible misappropriation of organization funds and lack of transparency. But the question is, are the stories true?
First and foremost, we are a nation built on the rule of law. So we need to accept that this decision was the grand jury's to make.
July 13th, 2013. Patrisse Cullors posts the first instance of hashtag Black Lives Matter in response to the Zimmerman verdict. Well, in reality, it wasn't quite the first instance.
After the verdict's announcement, a stunned Garza penned several Facebook posts.
Was that a phrase? Was that just something that came pouring out?
Well, let me just say, I'm not a big Twitter user, so when I first used the words Black Lives Matter, it was on Facebook.
Patrisse Cullors, a Los Angeles-based activist who was Twitter savvy, added a hashtag.
Please, you give me too little credit.
August 9th, 2014. The movement gains national recognition following the death of Michael Brown.
But first, obviously, the big news of the past few weeks, the town of Ferguson, Missouri, where the shooting by police of teenager Michael Brown has sparked a series of protests.
2015. Black Lives Matter founders formally organize into the Black Lives Matter Foundation and start taking donations. That's when things seemed to shift. That's when things became more about raising donations rather than raising awareness.
I grew up thinking that being poor was my fault and my mother's fault. That because my mother was a single mom, it was her fault that we were sometimes unable to eat.
The year is 2016, and Patrisse Cullors buys her first property worth a total of $510,000 in LA, a nice little 3-bedroom in Inglewood. Only a few short years since the hashtag first trended on social media, and only a year after the foundation was formed. 2 years later, in 2018, Patrisse Cullors purchased another lavish 4-bedroom house in South Los Angeles for a total of $590,000. And again, 2 years later, in 2020, Patrisse Cullors purchases another 3-bedroom house in Georgia, including its own airplane hangar, for a total of $415,000. Then, in 2021, Cullors made her biggest purchase yet, a $1.2 million property in Topanga Canyon, Los Angeles, and was even spotted looking at properties in the Bahamas at the Albany Resort, where units range from $5 to $20 million, although a purchase has not been confirmed on that instance. After this string of buying high-end real estate, people started to catch on that something clearly wasn't right. That's when the media started publishing articles questioning where the money came from to buy all these properties. And that's when the scheme started to fall apart. All of this public scrutiny came right at the worst time possible for Patrisse, because the foundation had recently filed to become an independent nonprofit in December 2020, which required it to file the group's finances publicly, exposing the organization has no in-house staff or executive director, despite the organization accumulating $90 million in donations in 2020. But perhaps more damning, showing that the organization paid Damon Turner, the father of Cullors' child, $970,000 to help produce live events, and paid Paul Cullors, Patrisse's brother, a total of $840,000 for security. The organization even purchased a $6 million mansion that people thought might have been purchased by the organization for collars. It was purchased under the pretenses of being used for meetings and events, but Cullors later admits to throwing parties at said mansion, even staying at it personally numerous times.
I just want to say that this morning I woke up to Candace Owens being outside of my house with a news crew. She was actually asking about the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation property. And for some reason, seems like she thought my house was that.
Patrice is pretending to be scared because she knows that this Black Lives Matter lie is falling apart. And she doesn't know what to do. I mean, people are aware of the scam that is Black Lives Matter. She's intentionally limited the comments, so you can't even comment on this post. She's being exposed as a fraud who took millions, used the faces of Black people, took millions of dollars to fund herself, to fund her lifestyle, to fund her girlfriend.
Trying to save face, the organization made Patrisse Cullors the executive director and made a public statement. Patrice has received a total of $120,000 since the organization's inception in 2013 for duties such as serving as a spokesperson and engaging in political education work. Patrice did not receive any compensation after 2019. $120,000? Something about that doesn't add up. Just look at her real estate portfolio. Patrisse Cullors did release 3 books in the time span between 2018 and 2021, one of them even selling quite well. But the only problem with that is this property buying spree started in 2016. And when you've only received $120,000 in compensation, things start to look suspicious. And that suspicion was too much for the organization to handle, forcing Patrisse Cullors to step down from her position and issuing the following statement. I've created the infrastructure and the support and the necessary bones and foundation so that I can leave, Cullors told the Associated Press. It feels like the time is right. Now, is she the caring activist that she claims to the public, or is she a grifting Marxist with no ideals other than inflating her own net worth on the backs of pain and suffering? You decide. If you're looking to watch more on left-wing grifting Marxists, check out this video I made on Hassan Piker not being able to live up to the ideals he preaches to the public.